What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the NYG Blue Zone. It's your boy Atticus. And yesterday, John Harbaugh had his introductory press conference as the head coach of the New York Football Giants. And I want to tell you guys what my impressions were, my perspective, some of the energy that we saw in the room, some of the energy that we saw from the stage, the messaging, and just how I felt about the whole thing, what my takeaways were from the press conference, which were overall really good. I want to talk about all of that, but before I get into it, I'm going to ask you to please like, subscribe, hit that notification bell so every time we drop some new content, you're one of the first ones to get that message. And don't forget, you can also find us on TikTok. We're on Facebook, Instagram. Anywhere you listen to your favorite podcast, you can find us there too. So make sure you look for us there as well. Also on X, because we drop a lot of content there too. So yesterday was the press conference, and I got to tell you, man, I feel very good about our new head coach. You know, for a long time, I wouldn't say a long time, but throughout this year, just watching a lot of games that the Giants played and how they were in so many games, and unfortunately, they couldn't close them out and finish them. And John Harbaugh talked about that. He had some of those similar issues in Baltimore, and he made sure that he mentioned that. But he talked about finishing. But, you know, we said, many of us, not everybody, because some people think the Giants have more problems than they have. Some people see the Giants as a glass half full type of team. And I think I'm more on that side, that I think we were much better than our final record would suggest. And we said, we're just a head coach away. I mean, maybe a head coach and a couple of coordinators away, but primarily, you get the head coach right, usually you're able to get the DC, OC, and special teams coordinator right also. I think we got our guy. You know, I felt that way anyway, but as a Giants fan over the past 14 years, I've been conditioned to temper my expectations. You know, there's this statistic that's floating around that coaches who have already won a Super Bowl on another team have had zero success repeating that process on their new landing spot. I hope John Harbaugh breaks that streak and he becomes the first to do it. I certainly believe he's got the pieces in place to give him a good head start, right? There's obviously more things that need to be done with this roster, but I think that where he is right now, in the pieces that are in place, in all of the talent that's available as coordinators, whether it be offense, defense, or special teams, I think he can put together a team and assemble a few more pieces to get us over that hump. I really believe that. But I want to start off with, and I don't know if anybody else picked up on this, but you had to because it was so obvious. Joe Shane introduced John Harbaugh to the ownership, the beat writers, players that were there, family that were there, and I guess some other invited guests. And he seemed so nervous. You would almost think that he felt like, at least that's the way he presented himself, as he was unworthy to introduce John Harbaugh to the New York media and fan base. He was stumbling through his words. He was obviously sweating. He seemed to feel uncomfortable, like the stage was too big for him. Or perhaps it was something deeper that we don't know about, but he just seemed like, as a general manager of a National Football League team, there's only 32 of you guys, and this is kind of rudimentary, right? Like, this is a part of what you do. You get up and speak in front of people. He's done it before. I've seen him do it many times. He also spoke to members of the media after the press conference and before, leading up to it. And he seemed a little bit calmer or more relaxed and enrolled, if you will. But at the press conference, I don't know. The energy that he was giving off, it was very uncomfortable. I didn't feel like he felt secure in his role. And maybe a part of that, maybe a part of the reason why there were delays with getting John Harbaugh to finally sign his contract, and he downplayed it. And I got to say, he downplayed it very well, almost politician esque the way he did it. When he was asked by Tiki or Sean or whoever it was in one of the interviews after the press conference, like, what was the delay all about? Did you ever feel like this wouldn't get done? He was like, I don't know. I think it would have got done. It was just working through the kinks that we needed to work through. But I felt like I was always going to be here, and it worked out. He downplayed it beautifully, but the downplay appears to be one of the things John Harbaugh said, and I don't know if you took note of this, but I did, was that the head coach and a general manager are both going to be reporting directly to ownership. That's not typical. Usually the head coach reports to the general manager and the general manager reports to ownership. Now, Harbaugh said, that's the way we did it in Baltimore. It'd be nice if at least in the first year we did it the same way here. And that may have made Joe Shane feel very uncomfortable when the Maris and Tisch families made sure that he felt comfortable enough, at least in his role as the general manager for this year. Now, I did another podcast with a couple of guys who you've seen on the show, and we talked about it may be possible that a part of the discussion that was had with John Harbaugh when Shane wasn't present, that he's going to be here, but if you don't work well with him, the one to go will be him, not you. And as a result of that, Harbaugh knows he's the one who's really running things. And Joe Shane, based on the way that the contract for Harbaugh was structured, understands this. He's not a dummy. Joe Shane has done a good job managing the cap. He's made some questionable moves in free agency and some draft signings that I'm still scratching my head over. But the Maras and the Tisch still think that he brought in enough good pieces. To his credit, he did, to keep his job. Not sure that he is stable in keeping his job longer than another year. Maybe that's why he was so nervous. I don't know. But I got to also say, when John Harbaugh, even his walk up to the podium, to the stage, he walked with confidence, with swag, with vigor. He walked up there like he owned the place. He walked up there the way you would want your new head coach to take command of the stage, of the room. And he did it well. You could see it, you could hear it, you could feel it, that this was a seasoned guy who already has a plan in his mind that is going to be executed. He just hasn't done it yet. He already has a vision for the team. He immediately raised the ceiling and the bar for the organization. He made sure he pointed out those people who have helped him along the way. He talked about his wife. He mentioned his dad several times. He talked about some of the different phone calls from players and coaches that he has spoken to during his process of accepting the job as the New York Giants head coach. He also acknowledged the players that were in the room. He talked a lot about Jackson Dart. He mentioned Jameis Winston. He talked about all of the things that you wanted to hear. He talked about setting the tone. He talked about excellence was something that we would strive for every day. Not just some days, every day, that the work begins now. That he told us that the team will love the physical work of the game, practice, meetings, weightlifting, as much as the game itself. He's demanding excellence because that's how you win championships. I tell you what, if there were some type of award that you could give somebody for knocking your introductory press conference out of the park, he would have won one yesterday because he killed that shit. He also talked about how he's going to build the team around his starting quarterback, Jackson Dart. He loves his skill sets. He loves the way he loves to talk ball. Harbaugh loves to talk ball. So he said that was a great start. They're going to talk a lot of ball. I mentioned he talked about Jameis Winston being a backup quarterback and how exciting he was about that. I mean, that's a really good security blanket. Now, Jameis has some things he needs to clean up also, but I can see him making those improvements under John Harbaugh and whoever he brings in as his offensive coordinator. And I'm not very confident that I forget his name right now. I don't know why I'm drawing a blank, but his OC from Baltimore is going to end up being that guy because he was out on interviews for head coaching positions himself. So I'm excited. What I saw in that press conference was a guy who is sharp as a tack. And we haven't had that since Tom Coughlin in his early days as the Giants head coach. I mean, we've been through Joe Judge. We've been through Ben McAdoo. We've been, as most recently, through Brian Daboll, who, by the way, I happen to like. I just don't think he was very effective as a head coach. And now we've got somebody who just immediately took command of the room, of the stage, of the team. There's nobody who's confused. Nobody in the building that day was confused about who was in charge. Nobody. John Harbaugh is that guy. He made it perfectly clear, and he did it in a very humble, yet I'm the boss type of way. He did it the way that you want to see it. It's almost like you felt like just by watching his energy and the way he presented that I want to play for that guy. And there were so many players who showed up for the press conference, and that's probably part and parcel to the fact that he had conversations with each of those guys prior to him becoming the head coach while he was going through the process. He's already built a rapport with them that worked out so well. They all showed up. I thought it was wonderful. So I think he's going to collaborate well with Joe Schoen also, even though there was some uneasiness there with the new structure that's in place. But I also believe that Joe Schoen kind of understands that he's fortunate to still be in his position and that to be able to bring John Harbaugh in, even though Joe Schoen probably played a part, this had far more to do with Chris Mara and John Mara and Steve Tisch. Far more to do with them than it did with Joe Schoen. Not that Joe Schoen's efforts didn't count for something, but I believe ownership had more to do with this. And I also believe behind the scenes ensuring that if things don't go well collaborating with Schoen, that the person that's going to still be there is Harbaugh and not Joe. I believe that. So, but he did talk about he praised Joe Schoen. He said that he's excited to work with him. He gave him credit for the things that he did well, and he didn't mention the things that he did not. And I thought that was a very good way of approaching what could otherwise be a unique situation. So he also talked about a phone call that he had with Andy Reid and that they're still very good friends. And one specific piece of advice that he gave him when he left Baltimore was that change can be good. Sometimes change is good. I think a lot of times people just need a new change of scenery in order for them to really excel. Look at Sam Darnold. Look at what happened with Andy Reid. I mean, you can point to a many different players and some coaches, and they really started to excel in their second landing spots. Hopefully, we're going to see the same thing happen with John Harbaugh. So, he also talked about he's getting right to work today. He was interviewing members of the Giants staff to see if they're going to be retained to keep their positions in different roles. I would imagine some of them are going to be in the scouting department. Carmen Brasillo's name came up. I'm pretty sure he's going to still have a job. I don't know about anybody else. And he was very good and political and diplomatic in his way and not saying who he's keeping and who he's letting go. It was his first day. But, oh, my God, it was just very refreshing to see a real leader of men up there who seemed like he was ready, committed, excited, and equipped to handle being the next head coach of the New York Giants. And the media did not bother him not one bit. He stayed after the presser and gave interviews to I don't even know how many people, but he did it with a smile and he did it with the tenor and tone that you want to see from your new head coach. So I'm very happy with our selection. There was a big part of me that was hoping that Mike Tomlin would have become available and the Giants would have pursued him. And who knows, that might have happened if he was available. I don't know. But I tell you what, man, I am super stoked about John Harbaugh becoming our next head coach. And I'd also want to point out that one of the things Joe Shane mentioned in one of his interviews after the press conference, somebody asked him, what's going on with Malik Neighbors and Cam Scatterboo, because it's a big deal knowing if they're going to be ready for training camp. And think about this. We're only a couple of months away from that. I know it's the dead of winter out there, and it's like freezing and snow is falling and the playoffs are still going on. But these guys are key pieces to what we want to do as an organization moving forward. And Joe Shane said that both of them are on track to be ready in time for training camp. In fact, I think he mentioned OTAs. So I'm super excited about that. We don't know if they're going to be the same versions of them that they were before the injury. But even if we had 80% of either one of them or both of them, I think we're in a good place. And I think they'll gain strength as they go along. But, it messes with you mentally when you get one of those types of injuries. You run different, you cut different, you jump different. It's just one of those things that happens and you got to work yourself out of. And you'd want to do that during training camp so that by the time the regular season hits, you're ready to go. So that was really good news to hear. I'm excited, y'all. I'm excited about our future. I'm excited about our team. I'm excited about our coach. I'm excited about the new way that they are functioning, head coach and general manager as well, because I think Harbaugh is going to play a much more significant role in picking players that he wants to see on this roster through the free agency and the draft period than Brian Daboll was able to do. Because we all know he had to convince Joe Shane to draft Jackson Dart, which turned out to be a really good pick. So I don't think Harbaugh will have to work as hard to pick up players, whether it be through the free agent process or the draft, to get who he wants. And I like that. So thanks for joining me. Don't forget to like, subscribe, hit that notification bell so every time we drop some new content, you're one of the first ones to be notified. Go Big Blue, and welcome to New York, John Harbaugh. Peace, everybody.
Yeah, a lot of girls probably crying from my old high school. Look, they see me everywhere they go, I probably would too. Look, crossed over to the Jordan men like I'm Michael. Yeah, eating blessings so much I might need lipo. Yeah, tailored for the doves like I'm walking in chucks. Yeah, it's just in this plan, man, I see all y'all shook. Look, knew that I was great ever since I was a rook. Man, all y'all singles making me look good. Okay, praise to the Most High, yeah, that's Jesus. Look, but when it come to this rap thing, I can't lose. Yeah, back-to-back number ones, that's a thing greats do. Yeah, tell them boys that ain't nothing I can't do. It's my year. It's my year.